Alright, YouTube, gonna make hopefully a short video here. YouTube notified me yesterday that it's been 2 years for the most watched video. And I think it's kind of ironic because it's all about this here truck. So 2 years ago, this truck was having transmission problems. It turned out to be the variable speed sensor on the top of the tranny, causing it to shift funny. So we fixed that, blah, 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 no problems. Well, here we are, 2 years later. Got my Polish creeper on the ground and the transmission out of the truck. Made a little bit of a mess. When I say a little bit, I mean a little bit of a mess. So we got our ZF6. So that's what we're doing. Well, when I went to take it out, I don't have a tranny jack here. I'm gonna have to borrow one, or just buy one. And to put that one up in. But for the automatic, I didn't really care, because it's junk. All the old bolt holes in the oil pan are stripped out from the previous owner. So frankly, I didn't care how I got this transmission out, because it's junk. So it controllably fell to the ground, basically. I had a jack and stuff underneath of it, because I've done this before with the old the other transmission. That's how I got that transmission out. Figured, it won't be much different. Same idea here. Well, this one decided it wanted to crush the pan. So that created an issue. But, I mean, it came out. But, it did leak out oil. I tried saving these stupid tranny lines. But as you can see here, it started to turn the fitting in the transmission and not this one, and it just twisted that right around, because you can't really see up in there, especially if it's straight pipe. There's not much room between here to see, so I wound up just cutting them off. Figured it doesn't matter. Plus, if I ever do go back to an automatic, there's a parts truck up there with 2 good tranny lines on it. The ZF has tranny cooler lines. They're right here on the side. The ZF6 is for the Fords, are the only ones that have the coolers. The GM ZF6 doesn't. So this transmission has a pump in it. It uses the same routing system as the automatic does, just shorter lines, because instead of those being offset like the automatic, they're just right over top one another. And they just pump it through the radiator and through the trans cooler in the front and back. So the lines are about $40 through Ford. No big deal. The problem I did hit, which I guess it is what it is, the 03-04 trucks, you can't really change the wiring harness to accommodate the ZF6 without changing all the wiring, because the way the fuel pump relay is ran on these trucks. So you got to use the automatic harness, which is no big deal. There are a couple write-ups on how to do the swap and get everything to work. I'm not too worried about the cruise control. The cruise control is the more Intuit wiring, which I don't really care to do. But here's the basics of the transmission wiring harness. You just have this big plug that controls everything. You have your output speed sensor, your variable speed sensor, and the plugs for the electric 4-wheel drive, which now I'm going to have to keep. But it needs a new shift motor, because the previous owner broke that plug off. I will show you. And they just zip tied it on there. Surprised it worked. But we do got our 3 pedals in. I have the master and slave cylinder. I mean, everything will go in, but it kind of, without changing all the wiring harness, it won't work quite right. But yeah, because all you have, I was going to show that, but all you have on this is your reverse, for your reverse lights, and the manual transfer case, just to sense that it's in 4-wheel drive. But the electronic, and of course, this plug up here, you can see he broke off a long time ago. They're all corroded and stuff. He just zip tied that plug to it. So hopefully I can get just this part. It is bolted on to the shift motor. So hopefully I can get just that without having to pay an arm and a leg for the shift motor. And I'm going to change out the hubs on the inside because they are different between the 5R and the ZF. The 5R has 32, the ZF has 34. So I'll just split the transfer case right here, pull everything back, take that hub out, do the same over there. I'm sure it's not that easy, but nothing that can't handle. Then what you got to do is, there's the PCMs up on the firewall, or up in the fender I should say. And there's about 3 wires I think on that, and one you got to cut and run to your clutch pedal to ground it, so when you press the clutch in it'll start. One you got to ground so it senses the trans is in neutral, because the truck's always going to think it's an automatic. Even if I get the PCM reflashed, the wiring is still for an automatic. So you have to ground the wire up on the PCM, and then the reverse light wire, you have to cut the power away from the ECM for the reverse circuit on this, run it back to your plug, and then just run it ground. So there's that. Pretty simple. I didn't want to have to cut up my transmission wiring harness, but it's, at this point, it is what it is. So like I said, I'm not cutting the truck's wiring harness, just the transmission wiring harness, which a 6.0 with a 5R dime a dozen, pretty easy to find if need be. So that's where we're at with it, but I just thought it was kind of funny that 2 years ago we were talking about problems with this, and here we are again. But this time we're putting a manual in it. So, alright YouTube, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.